First of all, I want to say I am not religious, but one thing always intrigued me. When Noah crashed into the mountain, first he put the crow out, which didn't return. Afterwards, he put the pigeon out, which returned with a branch of a tree. No one ever talked about the raven again. Not a single word why he didn't came back or whatever. And I was reading Mankind's Purple Dawn, and I thought about something. Dancing in the dark. In the beginning, there was only darkness. Yet in that darkness, there was already a raven. He was still small and weak, and his special powers had not fully developed. Eskimo creation myth. Between 20 and 40,000 years ago, humans in Europe entered into the dark and foreboding gloom of various deep cave systems, lit their animal fat-fueled lamps, and proceeded to produce artistic masterpieces that, when rediscovered millennia later, led Pablo Picasso to declare modern art had invented nothing. According to the scenario that will unfold in the following pages, the subterranean gloom encountered by these early artists was nothing substantially different from their everyday existence on the surface above. Outside these caves, in the open air of a world existing under a chaotic void-like sky, mankind's early ancestors are reported in myth to have lived in a perpetual twilight devoid of our current sun. Their world, according to many ancient creation accounts, was permeated by a dull glow that provided barely enough light by which to read your average Paleolithic newspaper. Eduardo Cardona, in a chapter in his book God Star, titled The Age of Darkness, points to comments made by P. Wheeler on the Japanese creation myth that indicate the universal nature of the Kronos-Saturn myth as the main construct in this primordial age of darkness. In the earliest legend with which the recital, i.e., the Kyoki, opens, one recognizes the primal myth. The development from primordial darkness and chaos. This is the Kronos legend, in its thousand forms, the father of all mythologies, upon which so many peoples have constructed their cosmogonies. I'm not going to read you the whole article. I just wanted to go a little bit. I will forward, I will put a link below. You can read it. The light of our current sun, as a rule, is not essential to life. Microbial life can exist in sunless environment, as can species of deep-sea life. While photosynthesis in vegetation works best in the darker red light spectrum rather than the harsh and bright ultraviolet light of the sun. So it is not inconceivable that life on Earth as we know it could have existed and even flourished in a predominantly nocturnal world, provided there was some form of radiated red spectrum light or energy. In fact, most species of animal, including those now long extinct, exhibit high degrees of nocturnal adaptation. Of all the higher creatures currently inhabiting the Earth, human beings are probably the least adapted to a nocturnal environment. Yet, traditional mythologies remember a time of darkness stretching out into an unknown antiquity, a time in which the god Saturn, in all his manifestations, was small and weak, a mere shadow of the creative force he was destined to become. As mankind's first remembered source of light, long before the coming of the sun, Saturn is said to have cast its pale light on a world without seasons and devoid of any means for humans to calculate time. Locked in a stationary post that is reported in mythology to have been at the northern celestial realms, the primordial Saturn seemingly drifted aimlessly through the skies in a chaotic heavenly milieu resembling the ebb and flow of dark ocean. It is a state of affairs that is referred to in the opening verses of Genesis when darkness upon the face of the deep and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Our conclusion here is that Saturn, the primordial source of a dim, timeless light, was a dully glowing sub-brown dwarf star of which Earth was one of its primary and original satellites, and that Earth was nestled close enough to its original host star to have been enveloped in Saturn's opaque and warming plasma sheath. For humans alive on Earth at this time, there would have been there no reference to the greater cosmos, and therefore no reference to any moving celestial object with which they could have marked the passage of time. This was a timeless age in which the dim blue-red light spectrum emanating from Saturn would have cast a dark purple-hued glow over Earth's surface. This, then, was mankind's purple dawn of creation. You can continue to read this, but let's watch a picture and I will try to explain what I mean by saying that I probably figured out the Raven thing. This is Mount Ararat in Turkey. It is situated between a water body here and a water body here, and here we have Mount Ararat. So, there's actually a triangle of water bodies there, and Mount Ararat is here. Probably there's something here and here too. Who knows? But anyway, let's go back to the Raven. Noah, they crashed into the mountain with their boat. They put the Raven out, which didn't return. No one ever spoke a word about it. But the dove was really important. It is still a symbol. You can find doves everywhere. And ravens are associated with evil in a way, with the dark. Of course, they are black. So, Noah's boat crashed into the mountain and they put the Raven out because they noticed the sun is shining, probably. So they put the Raven out and it never returned. And the Raven was the symbol of the Dark Age. The Dark Age has ended. The Raven has gone. It's a new age. And as a representative or symbol of the new age, having started, which means that we are not longer in Saturn's plasma sheath, we are in the sun's plasma sheath. Different light, day and night. And even climate change, 4 times a year, spring, summer, fall, winter. This age was represented by the dove. So I just wonder what the next stage will be represented by. Is it again a bird? Do birds migrate because Earth's magnetic poles have shifted many times, and in the moment or in the time when birds emerged on Earth, they were magnetically attuned to the Earth's magnetic field in the time they emerged. And afterwards, they turned over the magnetic pole shift, and probably the whole axis of Earth tilted over 90 degrees and then tilts back 90 degrees. And in between, we have pole shifts going on, magnetic pole shifts. Sometimes they happen at the same time. And the birds just can't live anymore where they belong because it's too cold in winter. So they have to go somewhere else. And when the temperature and the food availability is again correct, they migrate back to where they were originally living, because their inner magnetic sensors and all this is attuned to that. And many people say that birds are basically dinosaurs. They're really, really old creatures which have been here for millions of years. And these kind of magnetic pole shifts and axis rotations or over tilts of Earth's rotation, these kind of things, they happened already a few times in history, whilst the birds have been already here. That's why they migrate, I think. So, the raven from Noah is just a symbol of letting go, or like say goodbye to the dark age. Now it's the dove. So Saturn is represented by a raven, and the sun is the dove. Thanks. Bye.